Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mantou Podcast. This is Francis. Hello.
This is
This is
Vaughn.
Scott, and this is Vaughn.
So this season, as we promised to you guys, we have special guests that will be, talking to them regarding different topics. So for our first episode, the topic is about commitment. You know, guys, I read an article by Venerable Master Xing Yun. In that article, he discussed that there is strength in commitment. So he mentioned that to commit is to give assurance to others and to make a conscientious effort to deliver a promise. So instilling credibility and worthiness to whatever you guys promise. My personal take on this is it's difficult to juggle different kinds of commitment. So you have social commitment, you have commitments to your friends, to your family, and every day it changes. In your daily life, does it also happen that you have to change your approach when it comes to commitment, or you have like a straight path of I committed to this, so I do this all the time, or you tend to be flexible on your commitment?
I tend to be, when I say I'll go, I'll go. That's one thing very important for me. If I tell you I'll show up, I'll show up. So I need to keep my word. So when I make a promise, I make sure I do it. That's for me. I mean, maybe 95% of the time.
Well, actually, that's a cool thing about what Scott is saying. I think that's what we expect from a lot of different people. In my case, it's a case-to-case basis. So depending on my relationship, my commitment level is different in different kinds of relationship I have. So there are chances that I will. It's really hard to say yes, and knowing how to say no is something different.
Tolerance changes every time that you commit to a project, to someone, to some of your friends.
Which is why this is very good for me, because I feel like commitment topic will benefit a lot of different people, not just me, but to everyone, to all YAD people, to all our listeners.
And with that being said, we don't want only our perspective. Siyempre, today we have a very special person. Her name is called Stefanie Ching. So hi, Stefanie. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the Mantou
I'm being
Podcast.
invited for. I'm here to talk about commitment.
So we want to know if you have commitments. But guys, so Stefanie has a background. She's still studying in De La Salle University, and she has she joined different organizations in La Salle, and she loves to volunteer, and she's also a vice president of the BLIA YAD Manila. So today we would like to hear how Stefanie juggles, and then how she handles the commitments that she has. And Stefanie, would you like to introduce yourself? So at least everyone will have a better background.
I think that's about it. You pretty much covered everything.
It's funny how Steph asked me last, why is it commitments? It's just that, Scott asked us about, what's the best topic for Steph? And then we were like, diba, she has a lot of commitments outside the temple, in the school, in her, family commitments. So maybe the best topic for Steph is really balancing commitment, because she's the best example of that.
Vaughn, what do you think?
Well, that's basically the reason why she's here, because I think with all the experiences that Steph is currently having right now, she will be able to give us a lot of her perspective or her point of view as to how she approached this juggling of time, juggling of work, juggling of personal life, her family life as well, right? So since we started with the topic of commitment, Steph, and we're welcoming you to this Mantou Podcast, my very first question, how do you balance your commitment with the temple life, with your work in the temple, your school org, and your studies, most especially your studies?
I know the basic textbook answer would be time management, but for me, because right now, I have my academics, I volunteer in an organization in school, I have my commitments to YAD, and also I have to consider my responsibilities at home, since I have a brother who has a disability. And right now that we're under a pandemic, everyone's just at home. So my brother and I even decided to start conducting business online. So one of the things that I do to balance my time is to plan my week ahead. I have a planner and I write down my weekly priorities, then I distribute it through the days of the week. And I also set my own internal deadlines. So in case I don't it's an earlier deadline. So in case I don't meet it, at least I still have more time to finish my projects and my commitments. So that's one of the things that I do. What about you guys? I think it's different. Will it be different like in your case, since you guys are working also and then you have temple commitments, and Scott and Francis are even studying?
Wait, I'm more curious about your planner. Do you have a separate planner for the school?
No, oh my gosh, actually it's just one planner. So I started using a planner 5 years ago, and it's probably one of the most life-changing things. I know other people prefer having like a digital planner, like having everything on their phone, but for me, it's nice to have something that's tangible. So in my calendar, I already write down like all the important deadlines, like say the projects, and then at the start of the week, I write down the weekly priorities so I can plan ahead. And although it's not always the case that I'm able to stick to my schedule, because there are always last minute changes happening, but at least I'm able to foresee like my workload for that particular day, so I know when to say yes to extra commitments and when to say no.
I keep 3 planners. One is for school, one is
Oh,
for life. The third one is a summary of both.
actually, that's what I would like to share, no? Parang for other people, they're using different planners in order for you to identify what are the things that you need to focus on this particular group or this kind of commitment, and the other planners for your other agendas, diba? But what I'd like to ask Steph, aside from the commitment from the temple, the school, do you have goals that you put on your planner aside from the fact that, okay, Steph, we have a meeting this coming weekend, so it's a commitment from the school already. Okay, we have a birthday celebration for your brother, so it's a commitment for your family. But then, do you have something that you look forward to, like I want to go to the gym, I want to be healthy, I have to practice this, something that is very personal? How do you put something like a goal into your planner that coexists with your other commitments?
During the start of the year, I actually made like a vision planner, so a vision board rather. So basically, I kind of separate it to different categories. So there's my goals in terms of my social relationships with my family, with my peers. What are the skills that I want to develop? What are my long-term goals in terms of developing my spirituality and everything else? And for me, being able to always look back at that vision board kind of helps me manifest my goals, because it's a constant reminder that, okay, I have to make sure that the things I'm currently doing right now are all leading myself to those goals that I've set for myself.
That's so good to hear about vision. I actually like that you're saying vision. Do you guys have visions too, Francis and Scott?
Yeah, of course.
That's
It's a must. It's a must.
We all have our own vision boards, and I think vision boards is very helpful whenever we have plans or we have goals in our life for a week, for a month, I believe. But with all these vision boards, with all this planning, with all the preparation that you have your journal, you have your planner, right? My question is there such thing as a formula?
In terms of like my projects and my commitments, I always need to consider not just my own schedule, but also those around me, because and aside from that, also my goals. Because every time you say yes to one opportunity and to one commitment, you're saying no to another thing. So you have to really choose your priorities. Like at this point in my life, what are my priorities? What are the things that I want to develop on? Say, when I take on this project, it could mean saying no to spending more time with my family, but it could also mean I'm honing my skills in, say, Excel. It means I'm developing my relationships with my peers. So that's one of the things that I consider. But in terms of like actually considering a formula, for my daily and weekly tasks, I kind of have like this matrix that helps me determine my priorities. So it's like urgent, and then important, and then the amount of time to spend, not a lot and a lot of time. So for example, the things that are urgent and like only require a bit of my time, I do it immediately. So I can already be done with that task and focus on the other things that I have to do. So that's one of the things that I also do.
With all those categories that you have, is it hard to say yes? And is it hard, since you know which is urgent, which is more important, is it always hard for you to say yes? Or is it easy for you to say no whenever unexpected other agendas come along your way?
Oh my gosh. I think Scott knows this, but I'm such a huge yes man like before. So every time someone would ask me, I need help. Can you help me with this? Oh, I have a project. Can you do this for me? And immediately I'd say yes without thinking about the consequences, because at that moment I'm already thinking that if I'm able to help this person and, give them more convenience, and maybe I can contribute something worthwhile, why not? And without a second thought about the consequences about my current load. And that can be good. While your intentions are good, that can also be harmful, because if you have a lot on your plate already, what happens is sometimes I get really burnt out. So the things that I used to enjoy, they suddenly become chores to me. They suddenly become things that I detest doing. Like, that was back then. But I think now I've learned a lot from Scott. He's like, learn to say no, but in a nice way. So every time when there are other projects, as much as I want to help, but I know I won't be able to commit myself 100%. I just say, sorry, I can't do it right now because of this and that, but maybe you could open up this opportunity to someone else. Because, while you're saying no, it could also mean helping other people hone their skills and give them an opportunity to help others.
Actually, that's great. That's great to hear that having balance is very difficult, and committing is also difficult because you need to give a lot of your presence, your time, right? But what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you sacrifice, or what are the values that you maintain whenever you commit to a particular goal?
The things that I have to consider is, one, is it something I'm interested in? And two, will I be able to help and to contribute something? Similarly, will I be able to gain something in terms of skills, develop my relationship or whatever? I see Scott saying about love life. Right now, it's not in my priorities. Again, it's about going back to your list of priorities and for finding your why. Yeah. Usually, when people present projects or events to me, I usually ask them, why are we doing this project? Because it helps to know the objective or the reason. Because whenever you feel lost, whenever you don't know what to do, or you feel frustrated, going back to that why really helps you figure out what do I have to do. And it can also give you motivation to continue committing yourself to that project. And in terms of non-negotiables naman, aside from what I've mentioned earlier, I also look for particular values that I have to when I work with other people. So these are effort, communication. It really sounds like a relationship, like that kind of relationship: effort, communication, trust, and sincerity. Because, oh my gosh, kasi when we go back to sincerity, it's like, why am I doing this project? What's my reason? So I have to go into this project with the right reasons, and also because I want to help people. And sincerity, I have to commit myself 100%, because when you throw yourself into a project, like, that's what I do every time. Like, I throw my blood, my sweat, my tears, everything into it. It makes every single small win all the more worthwhile. And when you see like your projects or your events come to life and you hear feedback from people, it makes all those sleepless nights, those breakdowns very worth it. So yeah.
I just realized you mentioned your matrix of urgent, very urgent. I realized that my matrix is only past, present, and future. So I think I'd be able to take note of my urgent today and urgent tomorrow. But yes, I agree with you that purpose and intentions is very important when you're committing to something, because that gives you that will lead you on where your commitment will show.
Yeah, actually, I remember, as Francis also said, sabi ni Venerable Master Shingen told us that be the person that when someone lets you do something, paratag loob nila. You won't let them worry. For example, I want to be that person na, by Scott, gawin mo to, and that person can sleep well tonight. Wala siyang alalahanin. So you want to be that kind of person. When you become that kind of person, then I think that shows not only how good we are on doing things, but the commitment that we have. People trust our commitment. It's like a trust that, Francis, can you do this until tonight because I have a meeting by 12? Sige. It's pagdating ng 12, ay, sorry, nakalimutan ko. Diba? There are people like that. They don't give importance to commitment. But maybe they don't realize in the long run, it really taints the image of that person. And then eventually people will stop doing business with that person, won't trust that. So I have a lot of experiences because I'm with Lioness before. So there are people who suddenly won't show up. Yung mga challenges. They don't realize how important they are. And to Stefanie, so you came from a background that, it's hard to say no. So how did you start? Because a lot of people have those struggles. What is your technique? Or how do you say it in the proper way back? Aside from the ones you mentioned a while ago.
I think it's also because of the people I work with that I feel that they understand that if I explain no because of the amount of work that I have to do, and if these people really care about like your emotional and mental well-being, they'll understand where you're coming from. And it's not because you're saying no because it's not important, but because you really can't do it.
Would you say that you're saying no because you care about the project?
Yeah, in a way, because I know that from experience personally, like when you're juggling a lot of activities and you feel like you're being pulled in different places, you can't commit to yourself 100%. So there's also the chance that your deliverables, your output won't be 100%, and that's really going to cause a lot of consequences, not just for yourself but for the other people involved in the project as well.
Yeah, that's really good insight there.
I actually would like to agree on you on that regarding values. With all the things that you've mentioned, for me, the biggest impact is the value, no? The effect that you put whenever you commit to a particular project, or when you say yes to somebody, you go back to the values and you go back to the whys. Why did you commit to that particular project? So with all this, I have another question that leads to a lot of different people.
Bon.
Yeah, what? I'm sorry.
Problems with committing.
Do I have problems with committing? Actually, that's the good thing about Stefanie's testimonies and sharing today, because like you guys, I always encounter a lot of difficult problems when it comes to commitment, and I'm learning so much today, and that's the reason why I'm enjoying this wonderful topic of commitment. Yeah, I do have, I believe. But I always wanted to go back to the whys, and I always wanted to go and look at the values that I put into the commitment that I am committed with, right? So I always wanted to go back to that part. But the question is, the reason why I always encounter problems with commitment is there's nothing that inspires me a lot. So that's why I wanted to ask Steph, what inspires Steph to keep on pushing forward and overcoming her own challenges when it comes to commitment?
About the people that I encounter, the people that I work with. Like, say, for instance, in the temple, I feel like we're very fortunate because we have Venerable Yolin. Aside from having an incredible work ethic, she just has that ability to connect with people so easily. And also in YAD, we have, like, for me, I consider Scott as my mentor. So he's someone I look up to. And also I'm surrounded by very strong, capable, and smart women like Frances, like the twins, Sophia, Micah, and everyone else. So the fact that, I'm surrounded by these kinds of people makes me want to strive to be more like them, and with hopes that if I improve myself, I can also inspire other people as well.
You're them being somebody that inspires you, and I think we need to connect with the people who we work with. I believe that's the most important thing. We need to connect. You guys, do you have any other questions? Because I'm leading towards the closing portion of this podcast already.
As a youth, in doing, balancing your school stuff in college, organizations, were there Buddhist concepts? Or basically, how did being associated with Buddhism help you? If it did, have an impact?
I think it goes back to asking yourself, who is Buddha? Because for me, Buddha could easily be, Francis, it could be Vaughn, it could be Scott, it could be me. It's all of us, because instead of thinking about Buddhahood as some sort of end goal that we want to achieve, it's more about the actions and the commitment that we do every single day as we strive to, cultivate our compassion, our wisdom, to develop ourselves, not just to bring ourselves happiness and peace, but also for the people around us. So ultimately, I think that's about it. That when we commit ourselves to our actions, to our goals, every single day, we have to consider that we're not just doing it for our own benefit, but it's to benefit everyone else and everything around us.
Holistic.
Yeah. Very. I believe you're fit for a pageant. It's a complete answer. I like all the answers, the way you answer all our questions. With that, I'd like to wrap it up with all the things that you've mentioned. The highest impact that I believe that I will take away after we end the podcast is, one, it's very important you have to put a lot of values to it. So it's now easier to say yes, and it's now easier for us to say no, because if you think of the whys and if you think about the values that you will put into that commitment, you will be able to answer easily whether I will commit to you or not, because if I don't have 100% commitment, or I don't think I will be able to give my 100% to you, then I'd rather say no, right? So I think that's the most important factor that I want to take home. And also learning how to, arrange and organize your life, whether it's urgent, whether it's important, so that you put balance to your lifestyle. That's also another takeaway for me.
Yeah, basically that's it. And I like the idea of Francis. Three planners. parang a manual digital Google Calendar that you have different. Anyway, that's fun. So I think Frances, nasa planner din niya when she will be planning. Kasi mahabang yung time niya mag-plan. Wala naman. I think Von summarized it all.
Great. So I'm very happy that we have Steph as our guest for today, since we tackled commitment. And with all her priorities, I hope we learned so much from her. And I hope we have a lot of bound when we go home.
Yes, I agree.
We're at home already.
In handling our personal affairs or social affairs, it's easy to be crafty on saying yes, on saying no, but beyond that, we have to be trustworthy and realistic on what we can do to have a good affinity with others. So to end our podcast, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, share, and comment. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you find us, just keep listening. This is the only podcast you need.
Yeah, I'm so proud that we're already on season 2.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank you. So bye-bye, guys. See you again.
Bye, everyone.